Namaste. Hello, everyone. We are in the week 6 of my NPTEL course on interior design. So, today we are at lecture number 26, and we are going to focus on interior design technology, and specifically, we are going to discuss innovative trends and technologies. We will also see some specific examples of tiny houses and some applications of origami. So, innovative trends, some aspects of technology when we specifically talk about interior design and interior architecture, tiny houses, and origami applications specifically in space making. So, let's talk about interior design technology and how is this technology revolutionizing the world of interior design. So, in the recent years, technology has emerged as a transformative force that has redefined how professionals approach design, interaction, and the ultimate customer experience. In addition to creativity, aesthetics, and functionality, technology currently plays a fundamental role in transforming the world of interior design. So, when we talk about technology, we do talk about 3D visualization, different kinds of new software simulations, tools, the methods that make us visualize interior design much better for our clientele. Also, the technology that gives us augmented reality, virtual reality, makes us experience things in a real mode and in real time. So, from 3D visualization to home automation, technology already has its mark on interior design. The integration of technological innovation is opening new possibilities for personalization, functionality, sustainability, inclusivity, taking interior design to a new level of excellence. So, technological tools such as 3D printing allow for personalizing furniture and decorative objects, offering various exclusive options adaptive to customers' preferences. So, this is what these tools and technology offer us. This increases flexibility in design, allowing for more creative and specific solutions for each project. In personalized projects, these tools gain new strength. So they are sort of, aids and tools for all the designers, and they create new avenues and new possibilities and new opportunities for, designing, presenting them, brainstorming them, then, disseminating them. So if I were to put 7 ways to leverage technology for interior design, here would be the overview. And I would like to start with marketing, advertising technology for interior design. So marketing and advertising is also very important when we are working as designers. So the prowess of the internet is what allows the designers to, access digital tools that help them easily market their work, showcase designs, and gain new clientele. So it's also about receiving work and then, of course, disseminating it and then, showcasing it. Interior design tools. So interior designers use tools to make optimum use of their time, money, and resources. And there are, many number of tools available today, be it software, be it visualization kits, be it, interesting, well-researched templates, which are, put to use through applications and many other ways. Also, learning is an important way because education and upskilling, these are really important. They are the need of the hour in today's changing world. So, interior designers have a host of learning and e learning possibilities and opportunities which are available to them at their disposal. From dabbling in design courses to learning from seasoned designers, there are opportunities to grow and scale as an interior designer. There is also the option of AR and VR, so augmented reality and virtual reality. Interior designers use augmented reality and virtual reality to create powerful looking 3D models, and even 3D printing is also handy, and it helps design professionally and discuss with our clientele in a much more holistic manner. This helps them easily visualize a room or a space without having to physically create it. Designers even use 3D models of decor and other products to create a virtual environment that helps the client understand if the outcome is what they are looking for. Then socializing and collaborating is another method. Interior design is a huge community around the world. While over interior designers work with each other and collaborate to understand new technology, latest trends, ideas, gadgets, so that they can improvise the work. Business management is also very, very important and it needs to be really discussed, starting with our studies focusing on interior design as students and also as professionals. So, to manage their businesses and projects and schedule meetings with stakeholders and partners, designers need to use proper project management and business management tools such as software to meet deadlines, hold meetings efficiently, manage their work easily. Tech elements are very important, and we are already in 2024, approaching 2025. So, these elements come very, very handy. As a designer, you will know that the world is moving to a more sustainable space. Today, people want to build smart homes, integrate Internet of Things, ensure their homes are highly energy efficient. Integrating security features, building modular kitchens and bathrooms, and using smart lighting are a few ways to incorporate tech elements and create projects with a futuristic vision. Now, throughout this course and during several lectures, we have discussed most of these aspects, which I have highlighted here in blue. So, IoT, AIoT, energy efficient spaces, green interiors, sustainability, modularity, all of these things. So, as and when we come across during different lectures, we have discussed these at length with examples. Now, some of the innovative trends that probably I thought could be discussed in this stipulated time and which are quite interesting. So, to begin with, what is an interior design trend? So, a trend in an interior design project could be a central idea based on a worldview around which all the elements of a project are designed. It is the thread which binds together all the design elements and gives central character to the whole project. And there is a lot of research that lots of agencies, individuals, and schools they do, to forecast and predict these trends and then also discuss these trends, talk about the methods to achieving these trends. So there is a validation through experts, through professionals, and that's how, they get showcased. So, some of the interior design trends for 2024 I have put together. Sustainable and eco friendly design. Like, this is one of the most important trends that has come up and it has grabbed attention. So, sustainability remains a key focus in 2024, 2025, and of course, the times to come, with eco friendly materials and practices becoming more mainstream. So, from recycled wood and bamboo flooring to organic cotton textiles, low volatile organic compounds in the paints, the emphasis is on creating beautiful spaces that also protect the environment. So, that's a very important trend. It's also the need of the hour. Designers are integrating energy efficient appliances and smart technology to reduce carbon footprints. And that's the key takeaway. Biophilic design is another trend. Now, it's a very, very technical term, and I have just tried to put here things, in a very simplistic and loose manner. So, I could just explain biophilic design, which incorporates natural elements into interiors. It continues to thrive. And this trend goes beyond just adding house plants. It involves integrating natural light, organic shapes and materials like stone and wood to create a calming, nature inspired atmosphere. So, this is also a very interesting trend, and this is also thriving and will thrive further. Warm and earthy tones. So, terracotta, rust, olive green, deep browns. These hues create cozy and inviting ambience, perfect for making any space feel like a sanctuary. These colors pair beautifully with natural materials and greenery. That's the advantage. Maximalism. Now we always talk about minimalism. It has dominated the interior design projects for a long time, but maximalism is in vogue when we talk about 2024 and 2025. This trend celebrates bold colors, rich textures, eclectic patterns. So this is also in trend. Then curved and organic shapes. Curved furniture and organic shapes are softening interiors in 2024. Sofas with rounded edges, circular rugs, oval coffee tables add a sense of fluidity and comfort to living spaces. So we are seeing softening of, interiors and more organic shapes and, rounded edges, circular forms and very, very fluid and dynamic patterns in the interior spaces and interior architecture projects. Then vintage and retro revival. Vintage and retro styles are making a significant return. Mid-century modern furniture, 70s inspired color schemes and antique decor pieces are being incorporated into contemporary designs. This trend is all about nostalgia, offering a comforting nod to the past while blending with modern aesthetics. So these are some important and interesting details. Then tech integrated homes. So voice activated assistants, smart lighting, high tech security systems, we are seeing more of these. Home automation is seamlessly blending into the design, making life more convenient while maintaining style and elegance. Textural variety. Textures play a crucial role in 2024 interiors and times to come. Mixing different materials like velvet, wool, metal, and wood adds depth and interest to spaces. Tactile elements such as plush rugs, textured wallpapers, and artisanal ceramics are being used to create a rich, layered look. So, this is interesting how, through textures and tactile elements, we are able to add depth to a space and create points of interest and attention. Bold marble is also a popular trend emerging out of 2024. Marble, especially with bold, dramatic veining, is a major trend. This luxurious material is being used in kitchens, bathrooms, and even living rooms. Black and green marbles are particularly popular, adding a touch of elegance and drama to interiors. One of the lectures focuses on stone as a material, and we have talked about variety of stones. So two of these, the black and the green marbles, they are particularly popular when we talk about trends in 2024. Personalized spaces. Personalization is key. People are creating spaces that reflect their unique tastes and lifestyles and stories. Customized furniture, bespoke art pieces, and personalized decor elements are making spaces appear truly one of a kind. This trend is about making a house feel like a home, filled with meaningful objects and designs. So, in any case, when we work on interior design projects and in the field of interior architecture, particularization and personalization are always important because we are working on a micro scale, and the intention is to capture the stories of the clientele, of the users, and you tell stories and narratives through this design of interior spaces. Outdoor inspired interiors is another interesting trend. Bringing the outdoors in is more popular than ever. This trend involves using natural materials, large windows, and open spaces to create a seamless connection with nature. Outdoor furniture is being used indoors, and spaces are being designed to maximize views and access to the outside. Now, let's talk about tiny houses and why they are emerging as a popular concept. Tiny houses have become popular in recent years as property costs have skyrocketed. This is one of the reasons. And these are very compact. A lot of people also have, adapted to a more sustainable way of living and reducing the carbon footprint, also reducing the, blueprint of the building itself. And a lot of people are looking towards tiny houses. Also, some of these may be mobile and portable, and a lot of people who are very fond of traveling and they would just like to have a tiny house with them, all the time while traveling. This is another option in that scenario. A tiny house interior provides a more flexible way to live, whether as an off the grid hideaway or a means to live more simply and affordably. Now, these houses have, less area compared to a typical conventional house, but the amount of detailing is paramount in these kinds of projects. For multifunctionality, for optimizing the space, one has to really think about innovative joinery and cater to attributes like portability, foldability, modularity. So this is all very important, and when the tiny houses are designed, these kinds of details can be seen in projects like these. Trends and technologies for a tiny house. So the wall paint color is very important. Light paint colors are preferred in compact house interiors, and of course there are important reasons for that. Because they reflect light effectively, neutrals like whites, greys, and beige make rooms appear bigger and airier than they typically are. So, therefore, it's important to have a right selection or choice for the paint color. While bright colors and wallpapers could also be used, they need to be utilized cautiously because they can make the space seem tight or congested. So one has to see what is the project type, what is the space being addressed to, what is the climatic context, and of course, what is the preference of the clientele for whom the houses are being designed. But yes, typically the light colors like we saw over here, they reflect light and therefore the neutrals are quite chosen, to make the space appear bigger and airier. The interiors. Now, choosing black and white interiors is a great way to keep things minimalist if the tiny house is on the smaller side, like we see over here, this black and white scheme. This scheme opens up the space and makes it appear sleek and modern. So, a lot of people choose this kind of a color scheme because the house or the space is very compact as it is, and one has to make it look seamless, and we have to, through our design, make it open up a bit. So, this is one hack or a thumb rule that could be adopted. When decorating the tiny house interiors, something to consider is the choice of patterns and colorways for furnishings and couches, and it will make a lot of difference on how one can make the space appear, even if it is so tiny and small and compact. Using plants to add some life is another interesting method which could be integrated while designing tiny houses. So, plants are a much needed staple of the tiny house interiors. Hang greenery from the ceiling, mount plants on the wall, or place succulents in otherwise unused areas to add pops of color and keep the air fresh. So this is a very, very interesting and precious way of lighting up a tiny house. For some people, environmental sustainability draws them towards tiny house living, as I was mentioning when I started talking about tiny houses and why it is becoming popular as a concept. To achieve this, it is promoted to use as many reclaimed or refurbished items as possible. So this is very interesting. And during the lecture on green interiors, we are talking about the incentivization while using, reclaimed or refurbished items. So these are all very, very important points, crucial for interior architecture, and especially talking about aspects of sustainability, which are paramount today and times to come. And of course, by default, it's very important to protect environment through our designs. Storage and bookshelves. A tiny house design necessitates being inventive, like I was talking about interesting, unique joinery, etc. One way to do it is by using walls effectively. To optimize space utilization and multifunctionality, design unique joinery, which is a very, very important tool that any designer, could utilize. So joinery is very interesting, very important for projects like a tiny house. Then install floating shelves, hidden tables, and wall workstations to maximize vertical space and to add storage. Above eye level, we may also hang portraits, plants, and other accessories. So those are also options. Then windows and openings. The number of windows and the amount of natural light that enters impact comfort directly in any tiny house. And of course, in any project, but more so for tiny house. Placing one in the kitchen, sleeping areas, and lounge is the minimum that one should pursue. So, this is sort of a thumb rule, and it will help in designing tiny houses if some of you are planning to work on that project. Lighting. Furnishing a tiny house interior can be tricky as one does not want to overwhelm the space. Fortunately, lighting lets one go all out since lights do not take up too much room, and lighting can be very, very interesting and very important in how we make our interior spaces look or felt by the users. There is in any case an elaborate discussion that we have on lighting, color, and different aspects of interior design, and there are lectures which specifically focus on all of these topics. Hang a chandelier, that is also an interesting way of creating interest in a tiny house. Install Edison bulbs, interesting and beautiful joinery details, portable objects and furniture. Make the tiny house interior stand out with a mid century modern lamp. So, these are some of the interesting details that could be incorporated while working on tiny houses. Now, some case studies, focusing on the tiny houses. This is one case study, the clapboard cottage. So, with the help of his dad and brother, this homeowner spent 15 months renovating his 1940s era 2 bedroom, 1 bath, 800 square foot cottage in Tennessee. It's a very interesting project. There is this happy color choice for the front door and window trim, and in front, his four-season ode to the South garden included hydrangeas, azaleas, and abelia. So there is very interesting landscape detail. There are very interesting color choices, like we see over here, the contrast between the background and the foreground, and very interesting composition. Compact house, very interesting. Converted schoolhouse. Designers John LeCay and Jason Oliver Nixon of Madcap Cottage looked outside the home box for their upstate New York tiny home. So, this is also a very interesting project that we see over here, quite compact. In just 858 square feet, this 1840s schoolhouse features at least a dozen paint colors, just as many patterned fabrics and wallpapers, and ample antiques behind its door. So, very interesting color palettes, fabrics, wallpapers, and very interesting antiques. So, even though the space is quite small and compact, there are other ways to create interest within a space and to create the variety. And for that, paint colors, fabrics, wallpapers, antiques, objects of decor, all of these have been incorporated as design vocabulary. Then there is this tiny holiday home. I have put elaborate details at least about this case study here. The rest, of course, you can read a bit more on that if you are interested to find out, specifically the interior details. So this one is a very, very interesting project. This is situated in Netherlands. This beautiful tiny house is designed by Chris Colaris, I-29 Interior Architects. With a footprint of only 75 square meters, this house has a luxurious feel of space and all around panoramas to the surrounding nature. As you can see over here, there's a beautiful site context and lovely surroundings, and quite compact and small, situated again in a very, very beautiful place. This compact home is built for a family of four, including a living room, a kitchen dining room, a patio, three bedrooms, one bathroom, and two toilets. The layout is developed from the inside out. The smart arrangement of functions make use of every square centimeter. That's the philosophy of the interior architect. So you must have noticed that I, use this term interior architect. So there are proper qualifications, there are degrees, there are programs which will make you qualify as an interior architect. And we already begun this discussion, in the very beginning. Interior design, interior architecture, interior decor, and why interior architecture is a more holistic, more cohesive term, and why it is becoming more and more popular. So here you can see some of the details, how the blocks are placed and the massing is done for this project, how it sits here on the site, and then we see over here the elevations and how the surroundings are used for views and panoramas. These are the details over here. It is designed inside out, and very interesting ways to bring the landscape from outside to in, and from inside to outside, how the spaces are flowing. So the details, the use of color to make it appear larger and airier, to bring in light. So all these interesting details we will see over here in this project. Here also the furniture details. So all the interesting joinery details can also be seen in this project. These are, interesting sections, different sections, and how one can understand through these sections, the functionality within a space and the architectural program, while also trying to understand the overall form and the levels, with which the architect has played. So we see these spaces over here and the connections in between. Very interesting project in such less square meters. This is another section. So whenever you create your interior design portfolio, the wall elevations, sectional elevations, they are a great way to communicate your ideas. So this is again very interesting use of space and the way it is configured around the views and nature. Another one looking this side. This is also very interesting, and we see the overall form over here. This one again. So very tiny but very effective, quite aesthetic, functional, making use of every square centimeter with interesting material details. We saw some of those case studies focusing on tiny houses, and there are many more. I could recommend a series on Netflix which is called Tiny House Nation, which gives tremendous amount of details. While I'm talking about recommendations, I could also recommend another one, which is The World's Most Extraordinary Homes. That's also a beautiful series. Amazing, interior spaces and very unconventional, extraordinary projects that have been showcased, dissected, deciphered, and discussed during that series. Now let's talk about origami. Now I find it very interesting, especially when one explores origami for space making, for interior architecture. So that kind of interesting application is what fascinates me. So just to give an overview, a lot of us already know about it probably. Origami is the paper folding art without cutting, sticking, gluing, or checking. And it is derived from the Japanese word ori, meaning folding, and kami, signifying paper. And these are the three kinds of folds that are used, while working with origami. the mountain fold, the valley fold, and the combination of both of these. And essentially, through these folds, different kinds of designs could be achieved. So there are certain types of origami. So modular origami, kirigami, action origami, and origami tessellation. So when there is one unit or module which is used, for creating a certain object or certain design, so that is essentially modular origami. It is most common and quite popular. In kirigami, there are certain cuts which are introduced. That's also interesting. It's used extensively for making lamps. Then there is action origami, which suggests some actions. If, we can recall some games from our childhood and, we just press a paper frog and it jumps. So there is some suggestion of an action. So action origami, very interesting. Utilized, mostly for toy making and very, very interesting action oriented designs. Then there is origami tessellation, which is very, very complex. I haven't discussed that during the examples that I have put over here. But if you are interested, please look it up. It's quite complex and it creates very interesting volumes and very interesting, world with a single surface. It gives you a lot of 3D expression and it requires some skill set. It does have certain embedded system or mathematics, behind it. So if one is interested, please look it up. But these are the most popular types of origami, and amongst these also modular origami is very, very extensively used, by designers. Now, how can we incorporate origami into designs? There are certain examples and certain ideas that have been put, over here. Origami can be incorporated in architecture as well as interior designs through the concepts of static or rigid, deployable fixed, deployable kinetic. These are very interesting concepts, and I could take one lecture each or even more to explain each one of these, but I'm just trying to present here in an overview manner. We see some example here from Expo 2020 Dubai. In static, the form remains the same with the same configuration of time. This state is chosen due to aesthetical and structural reasons. So we are discussing static, and this is another interesting example, the facade of the Japan Pavilion. The fine material of the facade resembling Japanese paper protects the pavilion from direct sunlight. This is a very interesting project talking about the principles and concepts of origami being applied to space making, whether it's just the facade or other kinds of applications that we are going to see, throughout the remaining slides. Then there is deployable fixed. It has the self-supporting capabilities of rigid origami surfaces and the ability to be folded into flat and compressed objects. It can be used in temporary structures for events and disaster management. It can also be used for homeless and site workers, wherever we need some ephemeral or temporary structures to be built. Can be used in interiors for foldable and movable furniture, which tends to be mobile and is easy to carry. So when we talk about deployable fixed, foldability and movability or portability is also like important attribute. Could also be used in decorative artifacts. Then there is deployable kinetic. In this concept, the system acts independently to create transformable structures. So there is a dynamism and there is a kinetic attribute to the overall design. It can be used in shading devices, reconfigurable walls, acoustical treatment. Now, some of the materials that could be used while, designing for interior architecture, and of course, which is not just paper, we are applying the principles and concepts of origami, but it has to be a different material palette, including different kinds of paper depending on the scale and in what capacity one is designing. But these are some of the materials that could be used, for interior architecture, keeping in mind the origami concept. Design for the rigid frame structures, cement, blocks, steel outline. For deployable portable structures, gentle steel, polycarbonate sheet, PVC sheet, some tensile textures. For interiors, wood, compressed wood, overlays, fabric, thick paper. So, what kind of paper, what kind of board, what kind of cardboard, depends on the density. Even different kinds of papers and cardboards could also be used depending on the design. Foldable furnishings. Origami furniture, I can show some examples. So here, these are origami inspired furniture pieces, and these do apply the attributes of foldability and multifunctionality, etc. Some more origami inspired designs when we talk about furniture. Some furniture for the kids, and here the different kinds of packaging cardboards or edge board, these kinds of material palettes could also be employed in the designs. And here, because it's for kids and not for adults, the load bearing capacity that way is less and not needed in that amount compared to the furniture for the adults. So this is an interesting palette to be utilized to give different shapes, forms, as per the kid psychology, and then also keeping in mind the aspects of sustainability in mind. Some more examples for the origami inspired furniture. There are also origami inspired buildings, and this is the most interesting and fascinating part for me as an interior architect. So here we see one structure, an interior architecture structure based on circular origami pleating. So we are trying to imbibe or get inspired from, the principles of origami, and then we are trying to create spaces, or we are trying to create an interior architecture structure. So this is another way of, expanding the applications and trying experimental approaches. The structure itself forms a dome. There is no requirement for columns or any external support. So here we see this pleating mechanism and huge expanse which is achieved because it is sort of domical and it's like a free flowing space. It doesn't have, columns to interfere the space. Then an installation based on water bomb structure. So when we talk about origami, and I always keep telling this, there are technical aspects, structural aspects involved when we talk about interior design. So when we talk about origami, there is a pine cone structure, there is a water bomb structure, and so on. So we must have come across quite often the swans, the origami swans. They use a pine cone structure. Here what you see is a water bomb structure, and there is an installation based on that water bomb structure. It offers maximum curves and can stand without external support. So there is always a system in place, there is always a structural detail that has to be kept in mind, whether it's an object of use or a furniture or a product or a building. One has to really understand the embedded system and the structure and how things are put together, in a holistic manner to create that space or design. This is another structure based on origami, and how it can sort of change shapes and forms. So these are some of the references, some websites, and some of the references are also put on the slide. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.